Hey, when Tottenham knock, it's a different knock. All right, we have ended the January transfer window with a bang, ladies and gentlemen. James Wilson to Tottenham. Here we go. And if you're thinking, just like me, who is James Wilson? And you're goddamn right. That is that's the ambition that we all wanted to see from Enoch and the Lewis family this January transfer window. Arsenal were offering a trial, while Spurs offer a loan deal with buy option. Claws now agree with Hearts. When Tottenham knock, it's a different knock, boys and girls. When Tottenham knock, it's a different knock. We're in trouble. The January transfer window is slammed shut. Spurs have signed two players, Conor Gallagher and Souza, and it's simply not acceptable, and it's not good enough whatsoever. In this video, we're going to talk about that, get into it, get into the transfer window as a whole, look at what other clubs have done, look at where our squad is out after that. There will be a tactical breakdown of the Man City game coming tomorrow. Sorry, I haven't had the chance to do that today, but that will be coming tomorrow. I'm going to record it after this, so make sure to watch that when it comes. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video as well. Get involved in the comments. Rate the transfer window out of 10. If you've got different thoughts, if you're slightly more positive about what we've done, we couldn't do much more, etc. I'm all ears, so please let me know in the comments what side you kind of sit on. Also, guys, I just wanted to ask, so I was thinking at some point, not now, but in the future, about for the pod and for this channel, or maybe just for one or the other at this moment in time, setting up either a membership or potentially a Patreon for extra content, if that's something you guys would want. Obviously, me and Seb haven't been doing the podcast that long, but for my channel, I feel like I'm building a good audience here. If it's something you'd be willing to contribute for, not much money at all whatsoever, for extra daily content, then please just let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be up for, because I want to give that to you guys. But Tottenham's transfer window is done. The window has slammed shut, as Jim Waite would see with his yellow tea. And Tottenham have brought in Conor Gallagher for 40 million euros and Souza, young left back from Santos, for 15 million euros. We've let Brennan Johnson go for 40 million euros. James Wilson has obviously come through the door as well. Manos Solomon on loan, Minyuk Yang on loan, Dane Scarlett on loan, and Kota Takai on loan as well. So the squad is weaker than it was at the start of the January transfer window. Have we addressed the questions are, have we done enough? In isolation, have we done enough compared to our rivals in and around where we kind of are in the table at the moment? Have those guys strengthened more than us? If we look at this, we look at West Ham, we look at Forest, we look at Leeds, we look at Palace, we look at even Brighton could potentially be sucked into kind of where we're at right now. Bournemouth as well. And even the teams that are kind of above us in the table, what have we learned from their transfer business and compare that to kind of how we operate as a football club? Look at Aston Villa, for example. Injuries in midfield. McGinn out. Kamara out. Tielemans out. Who do they go and get? Douglas Luiz on loan from Juventus. Barely kicked a ball at Nottingham Forest. Knows the Premier League. Knows the club. Bang. Great bit of business. Ollie Watkins injured. No problem to go and get Tammy Abraham with Daniel Marlon going to Roma. That is addressing issues, using the loan market cleverly with players that know the league, know the club, can come in and contribute straight away. Look at Tammy Abraham's impact on that Aston Villa game yesterday. Had a good chance in the first half, had a goal wrongly probably disallowed in the second half, even though I think the ball went out. But, the process, let's not get into all that. But there's impact there. You look at all of these teams that are kind of in and around us, right? Bournemouth going and signing Rayan from Vasco da Gama. Alex Toth as well, bringing in 4 players this January transfer window. Brighton only bringing in Pascal Gross, but still looking to strengthen the squad. Crystal Palace, Gesson in, Johnson in. Obviously, they haven't brought in a defender yet. Even though the window's closed, there might be a deal sheet potentially for a defender for them. There's been rumours about one. They're also signing Dwight McNeil as well. So that's 3 Premier League players. I mean, Gesson has done nothing really at Villa, but he's a player that they wanted in the summer, Gesson. And they've got him in. Oscar Bobb going to Fulham. They've improved. They've capitalised on a position of strength. They've improved their squad and are being ambitious. Leeds bringing in Facundo Buonanotte. Man City identifying problems. Gay, Semenyo through the door. I mean, Mark Gay yesterday, lads. But you know what I mean. Man United not really done anything, but obviously they're kind of in a more transitional period. They're actually going all right in the league. Manager coming in for the interim. I kind of get it, right? I do get it to an extent. Newcastle haven't brought in anyone. Nottingham Forest have brought in a good Premier League goalkeeper. Lorenzo Luca, obviously on loan from Napoli as well. Ortega coming in with him. West Ham, Tati Castellanos, Pablo, Adama Traore, all coming through the door. Pablo and Tati have been okay for them so far. as well. It's just all of these teams kind of in and around us seem to have more almost ambition to kind of get out of the situation that they find themselves in than we do. And when you look at that with the backdrop of a few things. One, Tottenham's current injury situation, where I'd say 60-70% of these are long-term injuries. You've got Porro, Spence and Richarlison, who should be back within the next 3 or 4 weeks, but then look at the strain that's going to put on the players that kind of come in to have to replace them over the next few weeks. Archie Gray was down at the end of the game yesterday receiving treatment from the medical team. Dragusin has literally only just come back from playing football, playing at centre-half with Paulinho yesterday, with Romero going off ill, obviously, for that second half as well. What if Dragusin gets injured? We didn't bring in a centre-back today when they know that Kevin Danso has injured ligaments in his toe. Danso actually isn't even included in this list. So there's more. We don't know how long that's going to be out for. I was on the Fighting Cock earlier and we were talking about the fact that apparently Gary Lineker, a little bit before my time, spent a whole season out with toe ligament damage. Like, this could be a long-term thing. Spurs apparently tried to enter the centre-back market today. Nothing. They wanted a forward as well. Nothing. That's what happened when you leave your business to the last minute. It's just absolutely incredible because this situation has only got worse throughout the window. And it's not like we got 5 injuries yesterday or last week. You know, Kudus got injured at the start of the month. Literally the game after, we'd moved Brennan Johnson onto Crystal Palace. And they didn't think we needed an attacker or didn't want one that badly. Magnus Akliouche apparently wouldn't come to Tottenham because Monaco couldn't line up a replacement. If you force their hand earlier in the window, make them an offer they kind of can't refuse over a player that you want, they've got time to go and look at it. If you're proactive with your business rather than reactive, it goes back to everything at this football club. And I said this a few videos back. Everything Tottenham Hotspur do is reactive, not proactive. Look at that second half performance yesterday, which we'll come on and talk about in another video tomorrow in a more tactical breakdown in more detail. Reactive, not proactive. Reactive to the situation. We do not start games proactively. We do not approach transfer windows proactively when we have got as bad an injury crisis as last year with players going down left, right and centre. In midfield, Bergvall and Bentancur, we've lost them to the point where Basuma's had to kind of come back in, who was frozen out. Davis gone. Danso out. Romero ill. Van der Ven injured. And with Van der Ven, they might say that it's a minor thing, but we've been down that road before. It's just absolutely incredible, really. Like, you look at the benches that Spurs have put up in the last couple of games. We go back to the Man City game, just quickly. Man City game. If we look at Tottenham's bench, Kinski, Rousewell, Souza, Callum Olasese, Rio Martin. I think that's how you pronounce his name. And then Byfield, obviously an academy kid coming off the bench as well. Sarr, Tell, not about. Obviously, these are good squad players, but look at the team. It's a rag bag. It's a mismatch. It's so far from where this team should obviously be. And that Frank has been dealt a rubbish hand with the injuries and also not enough backing in the transfer market in this January transfer window. We should have signed another defender in the summer, and we've still not done it in this January transfer window. And so we brought in a kid from Brazil in Souza who could go on to be a great talent, right? But they clearly wanted another defender because Andy Robertson was basically a done deal until Liverpool had to pull the plug because of the injuries. Again, where was the backup to him? This scattergun approach from Tottenham is unforgivable, which means that you might go into a window with a player in mind, but who's the backup? Semenyo. I said it in a video the other day. All that talk about Antoine Semenyo. Oh yeah, the club really wanted to show ambition by going to get him. They've exposed their lack of kind of forward thinking and foresight and forward planning by exposing that information to us that they did really go big for him, because you've had 30 days or longer than that, because we knew that Semenyo wasn't coming prior to Christmas, to line up an alternative because it was your priority position that you wanted to improve upon in this January transfer window. And you've sold one of your attackers, and Mohamed Kudus, who's been your most prolific provider in attack so far this season, is out for 3 months. It's absolutely incredible. Like, if we get out of this relegation sort of battle, look, I think we'll probably be all right, right? But it'll be based on luck rather than judgment. They've not done anywhere near enough to strengthen the squad to make sure that they can really say, as the custodians of this football club, who are meant to be acting with the football club's best interests at heart, to say they have really done everything that they can to make sure Tottenham preserve their Premier League status, and we can use that to kick on next season and make sure we don't find ourselves in this mess again. Last time Tottenham were in a January, when we're in the relegation zone or near the relegation zone in January, and it's not quite as precarious now than it is then, than it was then. But we signed Jermaine Defoe, re-signed Defoe and Keane. Pascal Chimbonda came back. We signed Wilson Palacios as well, and we went on to finish 8th in the Premier League. I think we brought in Kudachini as well, didn't we? In 2008, 2009. And we went on to finish in the top half of the Premier League, pushing forward for Europe. We didn't get it. The next season, we ended up getting back in getting in the Champions League for the first time. But the club responded to the situation and went out and did things accordingly to improve the squad and get us out of that situation that we're in. The players put in a mammoth effort yesterday, I will say that. But we've got a busy schedule over the next few weeks with big, intense games. And these players are starting to play a lot of football. Our squad is stretched significantly because of the injuries. And our club, other than bringing in Conor Gallagher, who was good yesterday, and I think in isolation is a good signing, but he still doesn't necessarily address the issues that we've been having in midfield that have helped to make this team as dysfunctional as it kind of has been with that lack of central progression. And Sousa, a young Brazilian left-back that we're probably not going to see kick a ball for Spurs this season. Again, I might be wrong with that, and I think he could be a good signing. This is not about these two players in isolation whatsoever. It's about the approach. It's about the lack of strategy. It's about the lack of ambition and desire to make sure this club can say everything they can. They can say they've done everything they can to back a manager who have they so publicly backed and is getting so much support in the media. You know, his kind of stocks and PR couldn't be higher right now, really, Thomas Frank. And you've nailed your colours to the mast and backed him despite the terrible run of form over recent weeks, which has created this divide amongst the fan base. This is all amongst the backdrop of Vinay Venkatesham as well in the programme before the West Ham game, coming out and saying that we want to break our wage structure, we want to show ambition, we want to bring the best possible players to the football club. I appreciate January is a difficult time to do deals. It is. But you have to be able to manipulate the market, look for market opportunities. I feel like they're just sitting on their arse with a cup of tea at Hotspur Way, just not really doing anything. And I know they're obviously not. But where's the strategy? Where's the plan? There's been no real links whatsoever. And I know Johan Lang likes to work in silence and all these kind of things. But there's been absolutely nothing outside of these two and Andy Robertson, which looked like it was going to happen for 5 minutes and then Liverpool had to pull the plug. And again, no backup there. And a doggy who is injury prone. We're now putting him through the mill with only two of our fullbacks are now injured. 2 senior fullbacks are now both out injured for the next 3 weeks at least. So that's putting a lot of pressure on Destiny Udogie. Again, having to utilise Paulinho as a utility man, a versatile Swiss Army knife. Archie Gray, Swiss Army knife. Again, there are very little specialists in this squad. And that does help when it comes to filling in when players are injured. But we need some quality. We need some planning. We need some balance in the team as well. And we really do lack that right now. It's a hodgepodge mishmash of a starting 11 that we're putting out on a regular kind of basis. And I appreciate that Thomas Frank is trying to find solutions. I can appreciate that. And I'm kind of just checked out a little bit of the Frank out thing now because it's so clear that he's getting the season. And I've said that before. I said that before West Ham and Burnley, but those performances were so turgid that you can't help but almost kind of bring it back up. But they're not sacking him. They're not. So it is what it is. And I can appreciate we're slowly starting to move in the right direction. But as much as I feel frustrated about Frank, and I don't think he's the guy, he's been another manager that's fallen victim to this lack of planning, the lack of ambition at this football club. We spoke about £100 million being invested in Tottenham Hotspur from the Enoch and the Lewis family. Where has that gone? Where has that gone? Where has that gone? And if it doesn't get spent in the summer on quality players, on wages that will actually help us move the needle, to bring in all the players that Vinay was suggesting in the programme before the West Ham game, there will be murder at this football club. There'll be murder. There's been protests, and look, I thought the protest thing yesterday, I didn't necessarily agree with the walkout in 75 minutes because I think there's always the danger of the situation unfolding as it did, where we're on top, we get back in the game, and you're not going to leave at 1 or 2 or 75 minutes, are you? But I can appreciate the sentiment of why people want to protest at the moment. And it's been like that for years. It's simply not good enough. It's simply not good enough when you look at how other teams have operated, used the loan market cleverly, addressed situations within. If you don't want to bloat the squad, because you know you've got players coming back and you don't want to have too many players in difficult positions that you've got players currently out injured in, then bring in players on loan because most of these players are long-term injuries anyway. Douglas Luiz would have helped done a job for Tottenham at the base of that midfield, and there's other examples of other teams using the loan market to effect. But I'm fed up and tired of being gaslit by this club and the owners and the manager as a mouthpiece for them as well, even though I just feel like he's almost been hoodwinked as much as kind of we have, right? And he's been led down the garden path. And maybe things will start to change if Thomas Frank doesn't get the backing, if they do decide to back him for a long time. And maybe he will start to potentially turn against them, almost Pochettino kind of style, when he said it's all well and good having the house, but, you know, if you can't have the furniture in it, then what's the point? I mean, I don't think Thomas Frank's going to make it that far into his Tottenham reign to start making comments like that, because we were 5 years in or so at that point with Pochettino. He hadn't really been backed at all and worked miracles with the squad. And Thomas Frank needs to be doing better with this squad, and I've said this consistently. I think there are good players there. I saw a tweet yesterday saying that there was actually a really good, promising Spurs team that's laying under all this mess, and it's his job to kind of find solutions, but he's not been helped by the club in this transfer market that have backed him so strongly in terms of not sacking him, but then you've not given him the players to actually help him try and get out of this situation. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to me, this January transfer window. It's unacceptable with the situation that Spurs find themselves in, that we have come out of this transfer window in January weaker than we have started it. We haven't won a Premier League game since, the 28th of December against Crystal Palace. We've won 2 in our last, 14, 15? We've won 2 Premier League home games all season. And they're sticking by this manager, but they're not giving him anywhere near enough tools in this moment for them to actually justify doing that and for them to back up their word. If you're going to back him, back him. And they've not done that. They've not done it again. The summer was a decent window. It was a good window. We still left ourselves short. But I think we were led to believe that maybe some of those issues that we didn't quite address in the summer, plus with the injuries that we had throughout the season, that those things would be addressed. It's scandalous how they've done it again. Anyway, look, on a more positive note, I will be doing a breakdown of the Spurs-Man City game, especially focusing on that second half turnaround, which will be out tomorrow. There will also be a lot more videos throughout the week. Please let me know what you want to see in the comments. Also, please let me know what your thoughts on what I said earlier about potentially a Patreon or memberships for extra content if you do want that. To be totally transparent, there are some really... I want to be able to make a lot of extra content for you and really focus on YouTube and the podcast and stuff, and maybe doing something with Will potentially again as well further down the line. But there's issues at the moment with TikTok monetization and these kind of things, and this is my full-time job, and you know, I want to, obviously there is a monetary benefit to that for me, but I also want to, I have a lot of desire and passion to be able to create content for you guys and really focus on building this YouTube channel and community. So if there's anything you do want to see and you would be up for that, then please do let me know, and I will think about things that I can kind of offer. But again, absolutely no pressure whatsoever. This isn't me kind of just coming on and being desperate for that or whatever. It's totally up to you. Just as I say, please subscribe to the channel. If you enjoy the content, no pressure. It's free. It does massively help me out. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video tomorrow. There'll be a lot more content coming on YouTube, so make sure to stay subscribed so you stay tuned. Love you all. Up the Spurs.